Welcome back to Fast Friday on Maconi Entertainment. It's been a bit over 2 months since we have all come together on a Friday night for Maconi Setup Shop's Fast Friday series. But here we are finally back at it again right here tonight. For those who haven't joined us before, welcome. Fast Fridays is a weekly series by Maconi Setup Shop featuring a varying car and track combination that is completely free to take part in. Yes, I said free to come and race right here in this broadcasted race. Tonight we are using the Gen 4 NASCAR Cup car, which was actually an accidental addition by iRacing that just so happened to be a hit. Throw these cars on a track like Michigan International Speedway with incredibly high speeds, and we are guaranteed to see some action tonight. My name is Joey Atterbury, and joining me in the booth is Jacob Reeves, with Ryan Bauer working the controls as our producer and the camera angles being provided by Dougie Beard. Jacob, tell us a little bit more about this place called Michigan International Speedway.
Well, Michigan International Speedway up in Brooklyn, Michigan. This sucker is huge, 2 miles in length, right about at the size of Daytona or Talladega, not as banked as both of those tracks. However, Michigan is wider than both of those tracks. You're going to see cars right here going into these corners, going down the back stretch, and even on the front stretch, going 3, 4, and sometimes even 5 wide at speeds of over 200 miles an hour going into turn 1 and turn 3. So, and with these turns being banked at 18 degrees, these cars, a lot of horsepower, 725 or more, 750. It's going to be a very, very challenging race for these guys.
Gonna be a pretty quick race, but that doesn't mean challenge or not challenging, like you said. And take a look at tonight's race. Gen 4 Cup cars, like we mentioned, 60 laps or 50 minutes, depending on how nicely everybody plays together on the playground. No fast repair for anybody, so that means if you get any damage, you're gonna have to live with it or come down to pit road and get that stuff fixed. 3 green-white checkered attempts and a custom fixed setup provided by Maconi Setup Shop. So, Jacob, we're pretty much guaranteed to see these cars hooked up and full tilt boogie out there on Michigan International Speedway tonight. Just like what we're doing, we're riding on board here. This is Thomas Lewandowski in the number 21 truck. We got cars out there qualifying right now, and listen to that motor go. These cars sound so good out there, Jacob.
Yeah, this is, I mean, they sound absolutely amazing right now. With all of this horsepower, a lot more horsepower than what you would usually get in today's next-gen cars. Actually, more than you would probably get in, well, really any car, actually, in the NASCAR series, with all of the rules packages and everything that they've had to drop all the horsepower in all the cars. So this is a great throwback, and I am really excited that iRacing put these cars in here to showcase what American horsepower used to be, in my opinion, what it still should be.
Yeah, you saw a handful of counter steer coming off of turn 2, right on board with Thomas here as he puts down number another time. He's currently provisionally 4th. See if that jumps him up the board at all. No, he still stays 4th. And before we get to the end of qualifying here, of course, none of this would be possible without Maconi Setup Shop and Maconi Entertainment, and the home for setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, event promotion, and more on the iRacing service. Subscriptions available as low as $8 a month. Head on over to www.maconisetupshop.com, and Jeff can get you hooked up out there. Everything from dropping lap times to getting your own event broadcasted, or even just, if you got an idea, he can help create it here on iRacing. And riding on board with Johan Burgoyne right now in the number 303 as he is trying to put down a lap time. Has got about 20 seconds left here in qualifying. Not going to be able to complete this one, but does put down 17th place right now is probably what he is going to start at, as it looks like, Jacob, you're going to have about 22 cars from what I see.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of cars right here. It's going to be real crazy to watch them diving into turn one right here. Obviously, right there in second place, you saw it on the leaderboard with Jeff Maconi, the creator of everything at Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Setup Shop. And also, right there, going to be in third place will be Joey Masowich. And there's your starting grid right there on the TV screen.
Yeah, we got our starting grid. Emily Howe going to be on pole position today in the number 17. Jeff Maconi joining the front row, but on the outside, Joey Masevich, third place. Thomas Lewandowski, who we're riding on board with there in qualifying, finishes fourth, or I should say will start the race in fourth, finishes qualifying fourth. Christopher Morse there in fifth. Rusty Modesti in fifth place there, or sixth, and then Nicholas Ledford seventh, Andrew Vreeland eighth, Brian Housenet ninth, and also John Carlson there in the 10th place position, Jacob.
Yep, Carter Casey's going to be right there in 11th with Corey Arnold in 12th, Martin Tomlich in 13th, Nelson Riviera in 14th, Matthew Hunsaker in 15th, Paul R. Turner in 16th, 17th is going to be Johan Borgana. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that one. And then Tristan Kyle, John West, and Mike Remkes. That's going to be your top 20.
Yeah, and then we're just going to have actually just two more cars in addition. It's Dylan Brooks and Joshua Sundberg out there for the 22 cars that are going to be taking the green flag here on Fast Friday. Maconi Entertainment style, and love these camera angles being brought to us. And got to thank one Dougie Beard, but Ryan Bauer, the bearded sim racer, giving us all of these cool shots. And pretty mild day if I look at it here in Michigan. 65-degree air temperature, 91 degrees on the track, and so I don't think the cars are going to be slip sliding around too much out there. Should be pretty mild and provide plenty of confidence for these drivers to be making the moves. And Jacob, we do have a long pace lap here as the cars start to roll out of their starting grid positions, and we talk about multiple grooves of racing here at Michigan. How many wide do you think we're going to see going into turn one?
Well, I'm a fan, so I want to say 5 wide, but I mean, I know that, you know, the drivers are going to try to be careful, I would think. I mean, my opinion, if I was out there driving, I wouldn't want to go 5 wide right there on the first lap of a 60-lap race. I would try to take it easy. You may see some 3 wide right here. A lot of guys may be riding in the back. They may have kind of sandbagged on their qualifying, so they may just drive in there and just dive bomb them going into turn 1. But I wouldn't be surprised you see them go 3, 4, possibly 5 wide on the backstretch.
Well, this is a free-to-enter series, and I think we might see a few dive bombers as we get Jeff Maconi riding on board there. You see the onboard cam. What a cool setup Jeff has there with all the screens still plugged into the virtual reality and just that rig. So dang cool. Honestly, I'm really jealous over here, but looks like we're already coming out of turn number 4, which means the pace car lights are out. We're going to be going green this time by. The field is in the hands of the number 17 of Emily Howe. Coming up to that restart zone, patiently waiting. And now we've got a green flag on the racetrack. The cars are accelerating up through the gears at Michigan International Speedway. Pretty tame and mellow out front as the cars aren't battling, but too wide out front. Little bit busier further back, about 15th. We get 3 and 4 wide racing up out of turn number 2 for the first time and onto the back straightaway.
Yeah, they are really getting them wound up right here, and they are rolling right now going into turn 3. Looks like Emma House, she's still got the lead right here, but it looks like Jeff's going to be right on her heels right here. Oh, man, they are getting at it. Here comes Joey Masowich. He's just sliding up in there. I'm telling you, Joey, this right here is going to be a killer race. These guys are moving already.
Well, Misevich using that high line to his advantage, keeping that momentum strung up and riding on board with Jeff Maconi. He says, you know what, if it's good enough for Joey, I'm going to take that line too. Also uses it to go by Emily Howe there on the lower lane. And now we're going to see which lane Misevich out front chooses. Looks like he's going to run kind of the middle and late apex it down here into turn number 4 as these tires are just starting to get up to pressure for everybody. But leader Joey Misevich to the point. Emily Howe second place. Jeff Maconi now running third. Thomas Lewandowski in that 4th place position, hanging on to this lead battle.
Yep, and right here you see the 21 just trying to get up here to Jeff, and look like, oh, here we go, Jeff going below right here on Emily Howe. He's going to take the spot right there, move the 2 Maconi guys up 1-2 right here. Masowich leading this thing, Maconi going for it. Here comes Thomas. He's going to try to take second place.
Yeah, going with an over-under move, but looks like Maconi's actually going to have a little bit of help in the form of Emily giving a push down the front straightaway that's going to stall out that momentum from the number 21. But you see Lewandowski really sticking to it down on the bottom side of the racetrack, saying, I want this second place position. I've got a fast race car underneath me. I'm starting to get the hang of how this thing is handling, and look at that. Slices up the inside of that 0-3 on screen, takes away the second place position. He's going to try to go and hunt down Joey Misevich now. And with all of this battling, this has actually brought up a few more players to the mix. Riding on board right now with Christopher Morse Jr. in the 0-3. You're looking at that front 4 battle, and it actually goes all the way back to the number 25 car of Andrew Vreeland back here. Call this a 6-car train for a battle for the lead, really, Jacob.
Yeah, this is basically a 6-car breakaway right here. I wouldn't count out the 3 car and the 68. They are very, very close. I would say about an 8-car breakaway, but going back to the 5th place guy, that 03 right there of Christopher Morse, a lot of people may have heard that name before. He is one of those guys that's been on NASCAR Heat on the PlayStation series. So that guy right there is not just some guy that's just came out of nowhere. This is a guy that has done some sim racing before, and he is showing it right here at Michigan.
And Thomas Lewandowski went up and passed Joey Misevich. So we've got a new leader out front right now, the number 21. And actually look at the speeds these cars are reaching. Look at the lower left part of the screen, 199, 201. Let's see how fast he's going into turn 1. 205 is what I saw going into turn number 1. And that, folks, is called hauling the mail out there, as you see a big wiggle out of Jeff Maconi trying to keep the car straight with these motors inside these Gen 4 cars. And actually, Jeff Maconi, if you look in the mirror, which we're doing right now, he's got a hungry line of 3 cars. That's Emily Howe, who was your initial pole sitter, Christopher Morse Jr., Andrew Vreeland, and yeah, I believe that is Andrew Vreeland there in the 25. So that is your 4 cars, or 3 cars lined up directly behind Maconi. And if you ask me, Jacob, is Jeff holding these cars up right now?
Well, with him getting a little bit loose right there off of 2, I really don't think he's holding them up. I think he's actually, I think they're actually slower than he is. Probably. He may be holding them up, though. I mean, he's holding it on the bottom. I mean, they could go high if they wanted to bad enough. But I think that, Emily Howe, she's riding right there behind him. Christopher Morris Jr., the 25 is back there. They're just kind of keeping pace, because if you look right here in front, I mean, Joey Masowich and the guy that's in front that's been leading this sucker, the 21, they're checking out. But what you got to think, how much tire are they burning?
Well, and not only that, but I wonder how much fuel these cars are burning. And the more strung out this race gets, actually, Maconi just has another big wiggle up off of 4. This is going to open the door for Emily Howe up underneath him, and you see it's the number 15 on your screen, but it's the number 17 on top.
Jeff's on the wall. Jeff's on the wall.
Yeah, Maconi up into the wall in turn number 1, and you see how much momentum that kills. Oh, there's Jeff. You see the frustration out of that mistake. It doesn't cost him 1 place, but 2, 3, 4, 5 positions. He falls all the way back to 7th spot as he's battling it out with the number 3 of Rusty Modesti on the track now.
Yeah. Actually, now looking back on it with his frustration and what has just happened right there, he may have been holding those guys up. He might have just been trying to hold on to his car because he might have just been struggling that bad. But I mean, I really hate it for him right there. But I mean, the 725 horsepower, it is showing off right here in Michigan.
Well, and to get back to the point that we were talking about beforehand is the fuel burn, the tire burn, like you were mentioning, Jacob. And I'm not sure what we're going to see here tonight. I personally didn't do a full green flag stint in these cars to test it out to see what we've got. But with a lot of green flag running, these cars are starting to get a little bit more spread out. And when you see it spread out, the chances of a yellow become fewer and far between. So going to be really curious to see how everything plays out on the racetrack tonight. It actually looks like Joey Masevich getting past now for the 2nd place position. So once Emily Howe cleared Jeff Maconi on a mission down low on the racetrack, just like how they made that first pass, gonna clear Masevich, use the apron, take the short way around this place.
Yep, and Joey is not going to give this up as easy as she probably thinks that he's going to. He's going to rim ride it all the way around to the outside. Looked like he may have pushed up a little bit right there, but going back to the fuel and everything else and going back to, you know, the handling and all this other stuff that you were talking about, I actually done a little bit of testing here at Michigan with it. I didn't do a whole lot. But I will say this, if they're staying out there for at least 20 to 30 laps, they're going to be screaming for tires because it's just going to be nerve-wracking. That's about the only best word that I could put for it is nerve-wracking for yourself to be able to drive. It's going to be like driving on ice. I mean, they're already doing it right now. You see it. Jeff slid up and hit the wall, and they're just sliding all over the place. I mean, they're tracking North Georgia from what I look at it.
Well, Jacob, I got news for you, but I don't know if you've looked at the lap counter, but they're not going to have to do 20 or 30 laps here. They're going to have to do 60 laps. So,
yep.
Going to have to keep an eye on the handling on each one of these race cars. As you see, things are pretty mellow. You get a few side-by-side battles. This is Jeff Maconi right now battling it out with the number 24 of Andrew Vreeland. Jeff sliding down to the inside of the racetrack, trying to take that away. Right now, looks like he is going to snag away that 5th place position from Andrew Vreeland. So, doesn't look like too much damage is on that Maconi car. So, he's on a march back forward right now, while Joey Masevich actually continues to fall and slip down the order. Number 9 car is all the way down to what is the 4th place position on the racetrack right now. So have to keep an eye on that. And I want to go through the field a little bit. While things are relatively calm, let's see here who we're riding on board with. Mike Rimkus in the number 12 machine. Let's see here. He's all the way back in the 19th spot, battling it out with Joshua Sundberg, who actually just went up and scraped the wall a little bit. Give that 18th spot now to Mike Rimkus.
Yeah, some of these guys back here, as you would see, you know, Mike Rimkus and all these guys back here in the back, you know, Sundberg, you know, John West, these guys, they're just holding on. They're praying for a caution. You know, they want to try to get back in this thing somehow, some way, just any way possible, you know, caution, you know, somebody throwing a Coke bottle out there and making them throw it, whatever. That's what they're praying for. I mean, if they could actually call somebody while they're driving and say, please God, throw a Coke bottle out there, I mean, they would try, but they can't. So these guys are just, they're holding on.
And this is a replay of our new leader. This is Emily Howe going up underneath, and you saw Lewandowski get loose up off of turn number 4, scrape the wall a little bit. So maybe a little bit of those tires coming into play already for our early leader, Thomas Lewandowski, who is out there leading all of those laps. But right now, Emily Howe, our original pole sitter, finds herself back in control at the front of this field. Now can set their own pace out there and try to control this race for themselves. And looks like out of everybody, that number 17 or number 15, depending on how you look at it, is in plenty good position right now with a good race car underneath, not sliding around too much and not having any early mistakes. This is Mike Rimkus again back here. He is now on the back of the number 303 of Johan Burgoyne, battling it out for the 17th place position. And give you an idea, Mike actually started back in 19, so he's kind of hanging out in the same area, but these cars are definitely ebb and flowing quite a bit back there. They kind of gain a position one lap, lose it the next, and we got contact coming out onto the front straightaway in our first yellow flag of the day. This involves Joey Masevich in the number 9 car. Couldn't make out who that other one was. I believe it was Rusty Modesti. Was it Andrew Vreeland? Oh no, these two cars. Yeah, and just coming up off of turn 4. Jacob, you caught a good eye of this.
Yeah, I caught a real good eye of this. I was sitting here watching these guys battling for 4th and 5th. Jeffrey Maconi just barely snuck by this right here. And Masevich, he was up on the top, and he just kind of just came down. I don't know if he just lost it or what happened. I mean, I'm sure that he knew he wasn't cleared, but it just looked like he just lost it up top and just came down and sent both of them into it.
You're right. You know, I went up and looked at this, and you're right, coming up off of the corner. But, you know, you see Masevich a little wiggle early on in turn 4. I don't think that he meant to come down the racetrack. I think that the car was loose, that he was chasing the car, and it came down the racetrack. But unfortunately, heavy damage, and also going to cause damage to the number 25. But hey, Jacob, check this out. This is what we've been waiting for. You said 20 or 30 laps. These drivers are going to be kicking, screaming, causing a fit, saying, hey, give me new tires. But conveniently, a yellow flag comes out, and we got the whole field here on pit road now.
Yeah, and if anybody stayed out right there, they have pretty much just shot themselves in the foot right there. I mean, every single person has came straight down pit road. Them guys back there, Ramkiss, you know, John West, all those guys in the back, they are tickled to death this happened now. I'm sure Joey and the 25, they're not too happy about it, but everybody in the back is tickled to death because they get another shot at this. And you see Masevich, he's still on pit road trying to get his damage fixed right here.
Well, and also is the number 25 of Andrew Vreeland, and I don't think there is heavy damage on the 25. However, when he pulled into his pit stall, he overshot his pit box, and it took him actually a few tries to get stopped into where the car could be serviced. So I think that once he realized he already had a botched pit stop, he might as well stay there, get that damage fixed on the race car, and then have a competitive car out there to go up there and fight for the win, hopefully again. But one thing hasn't changed out front. It's Emily Howe currently leading the way right now. Came in from that yellow flag, came out from the pit stops in the lead, in control of the race, and looks like it's going to be Rusty Modesti down. And what is, is this 21. Maybe a strategy call? This is the 21 of Lewandowski coming down again, Jacob.
Yeah, this, I'm puzzled by this a little bit. I don't know exactly why he's came in. It may have a little bit to do with fuel. As I said earlier, I'd done a test run with these cars, but I'd never actually done a full, fuel run. I never actually went however many laps that they need to have. I only went about 15, 20 laps. So being 60 lap race, being right there at that threshold of around 40 laps, it's a possibility that he may be doing the same thing that we're thinking. He may be trying to save fuel and try to make it to the end.
Well, and that's what kind of rings a bell in my mind is if you're making another stop, it means, hey, can I squeeze it to the end right here? And we're just going to have to see. But I would think that only one lap difference under yellow flag isn't going to be a whole lot. But hey, you know what? I'm not the one doing the fuel calculations out there. That's an interesting part about sim racing. All of these competitors are having to do it for themselves or have a third-party app out there doing it. But we are going to get back going racing here and be coming to 23 laps of 60 tonight. Got the pace car coming off pit road, which means once again you see the green flag about to be dropped by Barney the Flagman, and Emily Howe gonna row up through them gears one more time. Ooh, 200 miles an hour sure does sound good, doesn't it? As we've got race cars flying around Michigan International Speedway. And one of those cars is Jeff Maconi. Look at him using the top side lane, carry that momentum down the back straightaway, climb up all over our leader right now, and actually try again here on the top side of rounds turn 3 and 4. Got a yellow flag on the racetrack, though. Hold up. See what happened a little bit further back in the pack here. Looks like number 12 of Mike Rimkus, as well as 37 of Corey Arnold involved in this one, Jacob.
Yeah, and I missed this one just as soon as it happened right here. I'm going back and checking right here, but looks like maybe it was just a little bit of a stack up, I'm assuming, driving into 3 right here. And, oh, wow, he just straight up just drove in there and turned him. I mean, he just lifted his back tires off the ground. So I don't know if he missed his, braking point or if he just wasn't paying attention, but he just drove in there and just killed the Caterpillar car.
Visually these cars are very reminiscent of ARCA cars, and I think the going joke around the racing community, whether it's sim racing or real racing, is ARCA brakes. Looks like that was a classic case of the ARCA brakes going into the corner, and you're right, just kind of ran over Mike Rimkus there, and or if it was the other way around, I can't remember. But yeah, just a little bit of a nose-to-tail incident. And hey, sometimes that happens out there. Sometimes you misjudge the corner. And a lot of times what I know it as is target fixation, because you're looking at something right in front of you. Even though you don't mean to hit it, you want to avoid it, but it just so happens to be right there in front of you. And you steer yourself right into it. And Jacob, looks like we got more action down on pit road, some leaders, so maybe that early strategy call is coming into effect.
Yeah, I would think, that it would have came into effect, but with Thomas Landowski, he's back on pit road. I didn't see him actually get involved in that wreck, but I do see him. He's back on pit road, as well as Vreelander. Joey Masowicz sitting here on pit road, so the 9 and the 25 that was caught up in the first caution, here they are, they're on pit road, and I just don't understand why the 21 went down right there. That does puzzle me. I mean, he pitted a while ago, and then he pits again. I mean, I don't know. I'm not the one driving the car.
Well, it looks like Jeff Maconi is out there playing double duty, also doing a couple of race admin things. Changed it to 1 lap to green, so we're going to get going back to the action. Looks like also Dylan Brooks was given a lucky dog wave around, get him back out there on the lead lap. Always good to be racing, especially here on Fast Fridays where it's all free. Fun to come out here and race against some top-notch pros, as well as some people that are just out here having fun turning laps. And right now we got another restart on our hands, and that means we're going to go up through the gears one more time. You see him squat down there on the back end, unleash all of that horsepower, get up to almost 200 miles an hour one more time, going down into turn 1. They're still accelerating here as we get 2 and 3 wide back there for the 7th place position.
Yeah, and that's where we find the 51, the 69, John Carlson. All these guys 3 wide right here. They are almost touching, banging off one another right there. 69 and the 20 just hit doors. Looked like the 42 just kind of snuck it up in there. Still 3 wide there for a second, coming off 4. These guys are racing like they're on a short track right now, Joey.
They are, and got a new leader. Maconi was able to get around Howe up front, and actually the car I want to highlight right now is the 42 of Tristan Kyle, because you're right. He snuck his way up there. You see, we're right on board with Tolmich right now. You see 3 wide action in front of him, and the number 42 is actually our biggest mover as well, up 11 positions. Started way back there in the 17th spot and making up a lot of ground on the high lane as you see the 42 now do the over-under move on Christopher Morse Jr. Use the momentum that he gained up off of 4. Now going to swoop down to the inside, probably take away this 5th place position. And now inside the top 5, next competitor up, Nelson Rivera in the number 39. Another big mover, up 9 positions for Nelson so far.
Yeah, I think these guys may have just took their time in the first part of this race. I mean, we're just coming right here. This will be halfway. As you see Tristan, he is just mowing, trying to mow through this field right here. But, you know, you just said it right then. Nelson and Tristan, these two, the 2 biggest movers of the race. I think they wanted to just kind of see what they had, just kind of wanted to see what's going on with everybody else in the field and make sure, you know, that they was going to be able to pick their spot. They finally have made their spot, and they are making it count right here live.
Well, and remember that yellows tend to breed yellows, and see what happens out here on the racetrack this time around. But Tristan Kyle really working that top side, and the reason why I mentioned the yellows is that tire wear aspect that we saw earlier in the race. Ooh, pretty close between the 3 of Rusty and Tristan out there as the 42 continues to work this top side of the high groove. But from what I saw around the high lane on the racetrack earlier, Jacob, is that it provided a lot of speed early, but it potentially wore out the tires quicker. So even though it provided you some track position early on, it seemed to bite you once lap 10, 12, 15 came around.
Yeah, it will. I mean, you're actually sending the car in more. For those of you that don't know, you're actually sending the car in a lot faster, and you're going a lot faster, so it's putting a lot of weight, or a lot of wear, excuse me, on that right front, whereas if you were on the bottom, as the 3 car is right here, you're having to whoa up. You're having to check up as you see him going 3 wide right here. Morse going in the middle, but I mean, and Tristan, he's just struggling up there now. So you see, he was moving up through the field, but again, as you said, Joey, he was running that top line. I think his tires are starting to give way as Masowich is getting back in this.
You're right, and the 42 just barely taps the wall with that right rear quarter panel, and common dirt track expression and Toy Story reference, you know, once that right rear tire goes, you look at your right rear quarter and say, so long, partner. You know, and just kind of got to keep on trucking. And you're right, the 42 now starting to struggle up top on that high groove, and Masevich now around Morse Jr. got around, and now really it's Christopher Morse Jr. applying the pressure to Emily Howe in that number 15/17 on the racetrack, depending on what screen you're looking at, whether it's time and scoring. Oh, big wiggle out of the number 5 down low. That's Tristan Kyle. Now causes a big checkup behind him, and wow, you're right. Look at this. He's got no car left underneath him, caused a huge stack up, and I just think that's from running that top lane, using those tires aggressively, overheated them, and doesn't have a whole lot of life left now.
No, he does not have a whole lot of life. Whoa, boy, almost got into the wall as he slides in right here behind the 3, but yeah, I mean, he sent it there for a couple of laps. You see him just send it right here. He's not even, I mean, that's what we call it right there in the iRacing community. If they're sending it, they are just absolutely going straight at it. They are going in there, not lifting. They're trying to get what they can get. So I think his tires are, they are getting to where he is now screaming. Like I said earlier, he's screaming for some tires. But Joey, I'll tell you one guy that's not screaming for tires. That's Jeffrey Maconi up there. He's up to about a 2.5 lead over these guys.
Well, and that, yeah, you're right. Maconi's doing a great job out front, just kind of out in clean air. Doesn't have anybody challenging him right now behind. And you're right about 1.1, 1.2 seconds, but just like that, you got a caution flag and everything changes. All of that gap that Jeff Maconi had built up, it now disappears, and looks like it might have been the number 25 of Andrew Vreeland out there. And catch a quick replay here, thanks to the bearded sim racer, always on top of everything, getting it all queued up out here. And coming off of turn 2, ooh, looks like the car maybe just got loose up off of turn 2, smacked the wall pretty hard, and then ooh, this is where the yellow flag came out, as Vreeland was trying to come to a stop. The car actually locked up, went back out onto the racetrack, and that wasn't, he didn't mean to do that. It's just a lot of times these circle track cars, they have a lot of rear brake bias in them, so it actually helps turn the car. And when he got hard on the brakes, it turned the car into the racetrack and brought out that yellow flag, Jacob.
Yeah, and I will give a tip of the hat to the 21. I know he was up front, but if you go back and you watch that replay, he was coming around the 25. He probably had not much of a gap. I mean, he was up against the wall and him, and just slid it right through there. That could have been travesty for Lewandowski right there. I mean, that was just very scary. I'd love to see what his eyes looked like when he was going around it, because they had to be really wide.
And you see all of the action on pit road. With 24 laps to go, we're just past halfway here in this Fast Friday on Maconi Entertainment, and we're seeing a couple times during these yellow flag instances that strategy is coming into effect. And one more time here, strategy is going to come into play, as it looks like a mixture between 2 and 4 tire takers, but Jeff Maconi leads them off of pit road. Christopher Morse Jr. going to be coming in second place, and Joey Masevich lead in third place off of pit road, and going to have a full lap here under yellow flag. And with that, we're going to take a quick break and be right back with more green flag action.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
There is a reason that Maconi Setup Shop is partnered with more real-world tracks and companies, including Junior Motorsports, than any other group on the iRacing service.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
You just saw why Maconi Setup Shop is that home for paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, event promotion, and more. And Jacob, I believe you caught what caused this yellow flag with a narrow escape from one of our competitors.
Yeah, it was a very, very narrow escape. As you see right here, Thomas Landowski just riding. You see one guy gets up under the wall, and then we go back to the 25 as he just locked him up on the back stretch. And watch this guy right here. Watch the 25. He looks like he's coming up, and oh man, it's just so close. I mean, if he'd have just came up a couple more inches, oh man, he would have just straight up drilled him in the door. I mean, that was a very, very tight hole for him to go, or for him to get through. But luckily, he made it through, and we didn't have a huge travesty right there.
Well, and especially when you're coming down the back straightaway and you see somebody come up the racetrack like that, you never know how far they're going to slide. But that is in the past, and now we're about to get green flag action again on this racetrack. However, restart leader Jeff Maconi in that number 24 car, looking back at Joey Masevich tucked up underneath that spoiler as he's just waiting to get going. And now Maconi stands on that loud pedal, accelerates up through the gears as everybody fans out behind him. Remember, we got a mixture of 2 and 4 tire takers from that pit road stop, and Joey Masevich to the low lane on the racetrack, taking away second place position from Christopher Morse Jr. See Rusty Modesti there, Nelson Rivera inside the top 5.
Big, huge wreck behind him, huge wreck. I don't know who got turned, but that was a very, very crazy wreck right there, Joey.
And oh, you know what? Gonna have to look at the 42 of Tristan Kyle, which is actually the 5 on the screen. Look at the white and blue car on number 5 on the screen. Gets into the wall, gets into another car, and then it's all dominoes from there.
Yeah, that looked like almost like a Talladega big one. You see another one just come flying in there. Looked like a Jeff Gordon paint scheme, just straight up nailed the 42. Trying to get a number on this guy right here. Looks like it's going to be the 41. No, it was not that. It was the 41, Dylan Brooks.
Look at that escape from Emily Howe. Our pole sitter in one of our front-running cars narrowly avoids this. And Jacob, this is the car you were talking about.
Yeah, he tried to miss it as much as he could, and Tristan just kept coming down the track. Everybody hold on, this is going to be bad. Oh, man, just nowhere for him to go. I mean, how can you miss that? I mean, that's a hit, guys.
Such a tough end of the day there. Not just for one of the competitors, but for a lot of the competitors. Remember, there's no fast repair available to any of these drivers, so any of the damage, they got to live on with it. They got to come down pit road, try to get it fixed under these yellow flag laps, which a lot of them are doing right now, trying to just kind of survive on the lead lap. But the key is not to get involved in that damage. And I'm looking at timing and scoring right now, and the cars that really got through it, that I've got my eye on: Jeff Maconi, Joey Masevich, Chris Morse Jr., Rusty Modesti. But the one back there that snuck through it all, that number 17, Emily Howe. Remember, pole sitter, led a lot of laps earlier on and kind of mired back in traffic. She took 4 tires on that yellow flag stop, while a lot of the others took 2 and narrowly avoided that wreck. I've got my eye on that, well, number 15 on the screen, number 17 on timing and scoring. So that's my pick with 20 laps to go to keep an eye on. Jacob, we've watched 40 laps now. Is there any cars that catch your eye for potential race winners?
Well, as you said, Emily Howe, she was leading a bunch through that race, through this race, but I don't know. I mean, clean air would be key. So I would say either Jeff or Joey right up here. Maybe Christopher Morse. He has showed a lot of speed right here, but like I said, clean air is very, very key. You don't have to worry about getting in any type of dirty air. So possibly Jeff, Joey. I'm with you on the Emily Howe. You know, she still has something left in the tank. So 15, 17, whichever one you want to call it. I'm with you, Jeff, Joey, or Emily Howe. That's my picks.
Well, and I know it's a little confusing when we're calling out a couple different sets of numbers. It's just that sometimes these drivers use some different custom paints that aren't on the league, and so they just have a different number on timing and scoring versus what the actual paint scheme is running out there. For instance, Joey Masevich in the number 9 car is number 9 on timing and scoring. Great job, Joey Masevich. I'm going to give you a pat on the back, round of applause for Joey Masevich. However, Jeff Maconi is number 24 on timing and scoring. I think he's a little bit different on the screen, though, but actually looks like we're going to be getting single file restart this time by. That means race control said, hey, everybody, we got to act up. We're starting to run out of time. Fast Friday is only supposed to last under an hour, and clean it up out on the racetrack. Patiently waiting. One hand on the shifter, one hand on the steering wheel. Both eyes up at Barney, the flagman, and gets a great jump. Leads himself to start-finish line up through the gears once again at Michigan International Speedway for Fast Friday on Maconi Entertainment with a huge jump over the rest of the field. Jacob, you made the comment, clean air is king. Maconi is going to take advantage of that.
And he has all the clean air right here. He is the cleanest air out of everyone in the field. He is checking out right here as we speak. But Joey is sitting there. He's kind of keeping it stable right there. So, like I said, clean air is key. That is possible. But here's the trick. You ain't got nobody in front of you. You might try to overdrive that car. He may try to push it a little bit too hard. I hope he doesn't, but it's possible. You ain't got to catch nobody. You just kind of get out there in your own way. It's possible you can't just go up there and just burn them up.
Well, one person burning them up right now is the number 17, Emily Howe. Already up 2 positions, as you see, down low on Nelson Webster right now, trying to make it work off of turn number 4. And actually, one thing that I'm noticing about Emily is that she's leaving a ton of room on the racetrack for the competitors, which is great sportsmanship. You can always squeeze somebody or pressure somebody into a funnel, but lap after lap, Emily has left room either on the low side or the top side for competitors, and sometimes that's actually a detriment to herself, as you see her get pinched down off of turn number 2, does not get by Nelson Webster this time. Is going to have to settle back into line and come up with a new way to get by that car in front. And Jeff Maconi continues to lead over Joey Masevich, and I don't know, with 15 laps to go now, maybe we should start a poll. If Jeff Maconi continues to run up front, maybe, Jacob, what do you think? Should there be like some sort of Maconi BOP that he has to add to himself out there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I will agree with you 100%. I mean, he's rolling right now, and like I said earlier, him or Joey or Emily Howe, she is moving up through the field, trying to get around this 20. She's getting real close, but like you said, she is giving a lot of room, not pinching him up in the wall. She could have pinched him up in the wall right there, but she didn't. So she's giving a lot of room, but I agree with your previous statement. Yes, I agree.
There's been a few times that she definitely could have run this car of Nelson Webster up high, but you look at how much room she's leaving a full lane and a half up there, just saying, you know what? I would much rather race side by side and smile at the end of this than run a competitor out of racetrack. And cause a wreck out there, as you see Nelson start to wiggle a little bit, but still that top side able to keep the momentum up there, and nothing's really changing out front for everybody watching, although Christopher Morris Jr. starting to creep into the picture ever so closer and actually taking a look down the inside of Joey Macevich for the second place position. See if he's able to side draft a little bit down the back straightaway. You see him go over, put the front right of his car right up on that left rear quarter panel, try to dump all of that air onto Macevich's spoiler, and what that does is essentially slow down that number 9 car. It doesn't give you a speed boost, it essentially reaches out like an arm. If you're on a golf cart, if you guys have ever played on a golf cart and reached out and pulled yourself by another golf cart, it kind of is the same thing.
Yep, and it's the same thing, and what we call it is side drafting. That is the word that we, that's the word that us competitors, we call it side drafting. As you see right there, Christopher Morris, he takes second. Now he's going to set his eyes on Jeff, and I wouldn't be surprised if he tries the same move, if he can dump it down in there. Or maybe not. Here comes Joey. He's trying to get a shot at him right here. So that side drafting technique is very, very popular. It ticks the guy off that's getting side drafted. But, I mean, that's the way, people have raced. That's the way that I've raced. Is trying to side draft people, and that's about the only way that you can get past somebody in that situation.
Well, it's definitely become a part of racing. With the speeds that these cars reach, the shape that they are, it's an area of racing that competitors, whether it's crew chiefs, engineers, car designers, or drivers, they play with the air. It is a tool that is used to race now, and it's pretty cool to see. And looks like Macevich was trying to hang on to the back of Christopher Morris Jr., but big moment off of turn number 4, separates himself from the 0-3 just that little bit, and now it's up to the Morris Jr. to try to go hunt down Jeff Maconi. But Jacob, that clean air, you mentioned it's been king out front, and Jeff Maconi really hasn't had any competitors come up and challenge him. And here now we got Macevich trying to slide up underneath Morris Jr. And if you're Maconi, you're loving what you're seeing in the rear view mirror.
Yeah, you're absolutely loving this side-by-side racing because, as I said, earlier, with the top lane, it being, detrimental, it's good on the short run, but it'll kill you on the long run. And, Joey's just trying to hang on, trying not to kill, Christopher Morris. So they're both just wearing their tires out, and Jeff's just sitting there in the mirror just like, hey, y'all just keep doing what you're doing. I'm just going to keep checking on out. Once y'all get y'all stuff wore out, I'm going to check out. As you see, Chris just slides up. Joey's just trying his best. He's sliding around. Jeff's loving this.
Jeff is loving this, as we're going to get 8 laps to go at Michigan International Speedway. We had 60 on the dinner plate tonight, and slowly but surely we're counting them down. And my oh my, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing here? The car that was taking its time, having a little trouble getting through traffic, is now a contender inside the top 3. That is Emily Howe joining the party.
And you called that before they even went back green right there. That is Emily Howe running in. Now the 3rd position as she got around Joey Macevich. Like Joey got up in the wall a little bit, trying to give her as much room as he could, and ended up sneaking it in the wall. Here she goes, just going to dive it down on the bottom. I think what she done was she just kind of just took it easy back there and let these guys get up here and race. And she's like, hey, y'all are guys, I'm a girl. I'm going to show y'all how this is done. That's what she's doing right now.
Well, and this has actually been the strategy that I've seen out of Emily this whole race, is that doesn't necessarily fire off as fast as what she needs to, but consistency with these cars and rolling on the throttle seems to be the name of the game, but has the biggest challenge now ahead of her with 6 laps to go. Got Jeff Maconi in the clean air out front. Hasn't had anybody go up there and challenge him yet while he's been leading. However, when the roles were reversed, it was Emily that was fending off Maconi. And so now, Maconi clean air, Hal got the dirty air, but maybe was a little bit smarter on those tires as you see her crawl back in through 3 and 4. And look at this run. Jeff Maconi holding his head says, I blew it there coming out of turn 4. Now with 5 laps to go, it's on for the lead.
Yeah, it is game on now. Jeff all the way up to the top. He got a little bit loose over in 4, but I think, like I said earlier, that clean air, he just got up there and started burning them up. Emily's already shot past him. Jeff ain't going to let her have it right here. Here he comes to the inside, tries a little side draft on her. But I'm going to tell you, I don't know. I think Jeff might have burned them up front. Emily, she sat back there and rode, took care of her tires, but Jeff's not going to let her have it. He's fighting for it.
I think Emily's going to hang on to this momentum on the top side down the front straightaway. You're right, Maconi's holding tough on this inside lane, doing what he can to try to fight for this lead, but I think it's all going to come to an end off of turn number 2 here. Let me take my words back. Maconi, oh, big wiggle and almost contact from the front 2. You saw how hard Jeff Maconi was pushing it up off of turn 2, almost got into the quarter panel of our leader, but thankfully saves it. But I think this is bad news for everybody else. The number 17 looking at 3 laps to go and nothing but clean air out the windshield.
Yep, she saved her tires, and she has been basically the one to beat. As you said earlier, she is the one that you picked. She sat back there, she saved her tires, and she's checking out now. She got the clean air. I don't think anybody can catch her now.
I don't think so either, and you saw a big wiggle of Maconi off of turn 2. Not sure if he got into the wall or not there, but now riding on board with Joey Masevich. This is the 4th place position, looking ahead at Chris Morse Jr., and that's the final step on the podium, if you will, that 3rd place position. So, you know, Joey Masevich is not going to give up one bit. And actually, you know, a car that I haven't said all night in 6th place right now, Brian Hausknecht in the number 51, actually joining the party. Got a great run off of turn number 2 right now. Going to try to go by Rusty Modesti, who's been hanging out in the 5th place. And Brian up into the top 5 going here into turns 3 and 4. Going to clear that car, but back out front, Emily Howe taking 1 lap to go at Michigan International Speedway. All she's got to do is keep it together through turns 1 and 2. One more time, cruise it down the back straightaway at upwards of 200 plus miles an hour. This number 17 car started from pole position, led laps early on, had to fend off some challengers, did an alternate pit stop strategy, taking 4 tires when others took 2. Found herself mired in the back of the pack, and with a big power slide up off of turn 4, Emily Howe is going to take the checkered flag at Fast Friday.
Yep, Emily Howe taking the win with Jeffrey Maconi, Christopher Morris, Joey Masewicz, and Brian Hausknecht. Like you said, hadn't talked about him all race long. Started 9th, kept his nose clean. He gets a top 5. So good win for Emily, and I'm sure Joey is congratulating her right now.
You see how ecstatic that win is, just throwing it in Formula Drift style here. Hopefully gets it around to start finish, because in my opinion, the best part of victory is those sweet donuts that you get to lay down on the racetrack at the end of it all. And here comes this number 15/17, slowing it down here on start finish. Let's get it in the right gear, crank that brake bias to the front, and burn it down on the front straightaway. Or just park it right here nice and respectfully on checkered flag. And with that, we're actually going to take a quick break and be right back with the official results.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
There is a reason that Maconi Setup Shop is partnered with more real-world tracks and companies, including Junior Motorsports, than any other group on the iRacing service.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Even though I didn't get my virtual donuts, I know that they were burning them down out there, and it was the number 17 of Emily Howe taking home the victory here at Fast Friday. Jeff Maconi, second place. Christopher Morse Jr., the last step on the podium. Joey Masevich, fourth. Brian Hausknecht, fifth. Rusty Modesti, sixth. Nelson Webster in seventh place. Nicholas Ledford, eighth. Brady Farrell, and then John West bringing home a top 10.
Yep, and then you got the 21 right there with Thomas Landowski. He was running up front for a good portion of the race. Ends up getting 11th. Joshua Sunberg with 12th. John Carrison, 13th. Nelson Riviera, who was up front battling at one point, comes home 14th, and then the list goes on from there with the guys that are a lap down, some guys that got caught up in wrecks earlier on in the race with Tristan Kyle and Dylan Brooks with them scary wrecks. Hate it for those guys, but once again, like you said, Emily Howe, she went out there, dominated, and she showed them that girls can iRace.
Yeah, and then you see just the rest of these here, just a couple more that actually took the green flag. Mike Grimkiss, Paul Turner, Bobby Henson, Mike Hunsaker, and also Bradley Stefan there, it looks like. And looks like we actually have our winner joining us in the booth. It's Emily Howe, and congratulations on taking the win here at Fast Friday.
Thanks, that was a fun one. Battling with Jeff and Joey and all those guys up front the whole time.
Well, and take us through the race a little bit. I know you started on pole position, but that wasn't the whole story. You led a few laps, fell back there inside the top 10, narrowly avoided a wreck, and then made your way back up to the front. What was that like, having to drive through all of the competitors?
Yeah, the first half of the race, I was just trying to save tires because it felt like it was going to go long green. So I was trying to make it, to halfway to do the green flag stop. But then we got the caution about at lap 20. And when we came in for tires, somehow the auto fuel messed up, or I hit something wrong, and it dropped the jack for the 4 tires, then it started fueling me separately. So fell back to like 10th and had to kind of work my way back up, but also keep the tires under me because it went green for about 20 laps here at the end. So definitely a basically tire management race and just trying to push as hard as I can without burning the tires off.
Well, you did just that. I think you managed the tires the best out there. And real quick, are we going to see you back at future Fast Friday events since you stood on the top step here today?
I'll try to be if I have time, just kind of happened to see it, just in hosted and decided to join it. So definitely a fun one. Try to be back next time and maybe a couple times after. So thank you to everyone at Maconi for hosting this and putting this on, Maconi Entertainment.
Well, and that was what I was going to ask you next, Emily. Before I let you go, is there anybody that you want to say hi to?
Yeah, I gotta say thank you to all the people at Prismatic Motorsports, all our sponsors, Certifiably Diverse, ABN, Canon Computers, Go for the Gap Co., and anyone I'm missing. I don't have typically I have the stickers in front of me, so I can just read them off real quick, like Michael Waltrip used to, but I gotta do it from memory.
Well, come on back next time because you collected the bacon today, and we hope to see you stand on the top step next time. Emily Howe, driver of the number 17, and we're actually going to bring in Jeff Maconi for a quick question. I know you ran up front all day today, but what was it that stood in front of you trying to take away that checkered flag?
Emily saved tires better. Flat out just outsaved me. I got outraced. I mean, there's no Two ways about it. My strategy was when we had that early caution, we were going to be a little bit short on fuel, so I was going to pit at half the distance, so I was driving like crazy, and it was like I had like a 2-second lead, and then I thought I had enough at the end, and that was it. But I got to give a huge thank you to Maconi Setup Shop, Maconi Entertainment, Maconi Competitive Zone, Victory Sim, Bruzy Racewear, the Sim Racer movie, Ron the Snack Guy, WSMN Broadcasting, and I think that's everyone. You guys did an awesome job up here in the booth. I'm getting closer and closer by the week. So we'll finally, hopefully, win one of these. But that was a lot of fun out there in my first race ever in the Gen 4 cars. I loved it.
You know, maybe for next week, Jeff, we'll have to add a fishing pole with a little piece of bait in front of your rig there to help you kind of go along there, kind of like the carrot out in front. But no, Jeff, you did a fantastic job out there on the racetrack tonight, and have to go back and watch the broadcast because not only was the action on track awesome, but the bearded sim racer was always covering the race to a top-notch degree, as he always does. And with that, we want to thank tonight's race sponsor, Maconi Setup Shop, as well as our broadcast partner, Maconi Competitive Zone. Calling the action tonight was myself, Joey Atterbury, alongside Jacob Reeves in the booth and Ryan Bauer producing. As always, we would like to thank all of our viewers for tuning in for tonight's racing action, and we hope to see you stay tuned to all of our social media pages for our next Fast Friday race. Special shout out, of course, goes to the entire staff for their work in bringing this racing to you. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment, and we wish you all a good night.